Took me 12 years of my whole entire life for me to graduate and for me to attend some ceremony where I had to wait 3 hours. I had to wait for 467 names to be called before mine in order to go upstage and to grab some stupid diploma and some stupid piece of paper. And this diploma and paper doesn't mean much to me, besides the fact that it symbolizes me graduating and me being able to move forward into post-secondary. But to me, what was really valuable in school was the memories and the friends that I've made. But for me, I've learned a lot from school. And it wasn't always like this where I had precious memories and pleasurable memories to look back on. So let's go back to the very beginning, grade 1. Now in grade 1, I was fresh off the boat, fresh off China, and came to Canada. And there was a pretty big language barrier. I couldn't talk to any of the other kids, couldn't talk to the teacher, couldn't talk to the teacher assistant. I had no idea what I was doing. I felt stupid, I felt left out, and it just felt isolated. Anything the teacher wanted me to do, I tried my very best to do, but I just didn't understand. I had strange habits for a grade 1 kid, and my teacher would honestly look at me in like a weird way, like a gross way, like showing disgust and things like that. I'm not blaming my teachers because I genuinely was that weird of a kid. I didn't know any of the Canadian culture or like Northwestern culture, and because I didn't show any of the normal habits, I was seen as completely different. And as a result of feeling so isolated in grade 1 and 2, I felt that I had to seek attention by bullying people and starting fights. And I would literally hear stories from my dad where maybe we'd go to a playground and we go to the park. And if there was any other kids on the swings or the slides, I would quite literally bully them off the swings. I would bully them off the slide so that I could take it, and I would receive some sort of attention because they would be like crying and bawling, calling me like a big fat meanie, a big fat bully, because I was taking their spot and taking their play spot. But I didn't care, because all I cared about at the moment was receiving some sort of validation, some sort of attention from the other kids to know that I existed in their eyes. And to be honest, I think I just really wanted people to talk to me, people to realize that I was a person, that I could be someone they could talk to. But that phase where I bullied people didn't last too long, since in grade 3, I started to know some of the kids there, and I made 3 pretty close friends that I invited to my very first birthday party. There were 3 other kids that I really got along with. We had fun, we played around, we always hung around during recess, and we even made like code names for swear words. Fire truck was the F word, pillow was the S word, and it was fun while it lasted, but we did get in quite a bit of trouble. But we still hid it pretty well, and we didn't tell our parents at least, so that was the good thing. But I was still weird, don't get me wrong, I was still a very, very weird kid in grade 3. One time during recess, I was playing around with some of the other guys, and we were playing zombie tag, right? Basically manhunt, but it's zombies. And I thought, oh, zombies, right? You gotta butt into people. And I genuinely went up to someone that I caught and would pretend to bite into them. Like, I was a very, very weird kid. Whenever we play Square One, I would complain how the first spot would always start, and I literally like ball up into a corner and cry about how this isn't fair. And although they would come up to me and try to apologize, I wouldn't hear any of it. And this was just the beginning where I started to realize how emotionally fragile I really was. As a kid, I had no emotional intelligence. I had no control over my emotions, and I really just let them loose, let them fly. It was why I could just go on and bully. I had really no sympathy, to be honest, and I just did what I wanted. I was selfish. And this lack of emotional intelligence, I think, really hurt me during middle school. It was grade 7 especially where this was apparent. Because one time during recess, we went out to play for a little bit, and like a bunch of other kids from the same class. We were playing around in the field or something, and one of them stole my shoe, and I got pretty mad. And they were like throwing it around. Some of them threw like a freaking Skittle inside there or whatever. And I don't know. But what I do remember was I thought that someone took my soul, and I got really mad about that. So I was asking like, where was the soul? And they kept telling me it was inside the shoe, but I just wouldn't believe it. Although I could literally see with my eyes it was in there. And so I lashed out on the other kids around me, the kids that I would consider my friends. But I put one kid that was 50 pounds under me into a chokehold and started throwing people to the floor. And to be honest, I felt bad. I felt bad after my actions. But I just sat there looking angry, looking pissed off. I even stared down my teacher, my grade 7 teacher at the time. And only then, when he looked back at me, was when I started to realize what I was actually doing. What I was actually doing to my friends, people that I really cared about. But I didn't get any time to actually apply this since in grade 8, this was the beginning of the pandemic. And although it wasn't forced online, because I was still living with my grandmother, my mom didn't want to risk me, transferring COVID-19 to her. So it was probably the smarter choice for me to go online fully. And being online, you have no chance to practice your social skills. And for me, this was the best. I felt the most comfortable I've ever felt. I felt so at home because I quite literally was. And I could spend all my time gaming, spend all my time gooning. It was really a paradise for me. A paradise for an introvert that had no social skills and had very little emotional intelligence. And this led into grade 9 where I was a complete loner. It was a repeat of grade 1 where I felt alone, I felt isolated, and all I really had on grade 1 me was that I could complete some of the assignments that my teachers gave me. And that was it. I knew a couple of the kids from middle school, but I didn't know them all that well. I was still a very big loner. I played Clash Royale all day. But in grade 10, 11, and 12, I started changing. I started realizing what I'm realizing now, that I needed to work on myself and my social skills. But I didn't realize a lot of the deeper problems though. Grade 10, I started working out and improving my confidence, my physique. And I started feeling a little bit more open to talk to people. And I put that self-confidence into practice in grade 11 by going out there, getting into all the club activities, and getting there and talking to people, getting to know a lot more people, talking to people above my grade, and really having a whole bunch of experiences. Now in grade 12, I didn't do a whole lot since it was really lock-in time for my grades and stuff. But I still did my best to continue what I was doing in grade 10 and 11, working out and putting that into practice. And now that I finished grade 12, and now that everything's said and done, I can really say that I went a really long way. I went from a kid that could barely speak English to a kid that's made a bunch of friends, that's, I think, made a name for himself, both in school and both on this internet. And I think, or I'd like to think, that I've had a positive impact on some people. Now, I know I wasn't always the greatest kid, and I know I wasn't always the best friend either, but I can say for sure that I tried my very best, and I've learned. I reflected. I worked on some of my more service line issues of being just tubby and having low self-confidence, but I've also come to work on some of my deeper problems, being my emotional intelligence, being able to control myself and my emotions a little bit better, controlling my temper and controlling my urges. I've always had a very short temper, and I've always gotten angry very easily, and so I'm working on that in the moment. I've picked up a couple books, reading and learning about emotional intelligence, what it means to be smart emotionally, and what it means to control yourself, and what emotional intelligence genuinely looks like. But what I have to say from these 12 years of high school, 12 years of school as a whole, is this is what it looks like to live. High school and school in general has basically just compacted life into a smaller version where we come and go, we meet new people, we have experiences, we have these memories, we have these routines, we have these things that we have to do, these responsibilities, and gives us time to reflect, gives us time to move forward and grow. We have the past to reflect on, we have the present to act on, and with the future to plan on. The 3 states of time is what you really have to get through your head and truly understand. If you can use your time wisely and understand how to use the 3 states of time really effectively, you will be fine for life. That's all you need in life. You need to be able to reflect, you need to be able to work, and you need to be able to plan. Those are the 3 things you have to do. If you have the drive to do these 3 things and you understand that these are a necessity, things are going to be just fine. This is the way I've gone through my years of school, coming from a kid that couldn't speak an ounce of English to one that's making his basically career based off speaking. Coming here on this YouTube channel and giving a couple words. But I'm very proud to say that I graduated, that I finished school. Now I've finally done what it took 12 years for me to do. And I hope some of you watching that might not have graduated take what I have here to heart. Because this is the most important piece of advice that I would give to anyone starting school from grade 1 to grade 11. You need to understand how to reflect, how to act, and how to plan. But yeah, that's about it for me here today. I hope you found something interesting or helpful from this video. I'm not gonna lie, I feel some things left out from my mind. I'll probably put it in post-edit, but as of now, I can't really remember what I want to say. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I really do appreciate you for sticking to the end here and watching all the way through. But that's about it for me. So just stay consistent, stay disciplined, and keep on building that relationship with God. And now, just give me a kiss. Mwah.